He left me when I needed him the most. I was pregnant, scared, and completely alone while my husband walked away with another woman. He told me I was no longer the life he wanted. I begged him to stay. He didn't even look back. But 5 years later, on a cold, rainy night, someone knocked on my door. When I opened it, it was him. The same man who abandoned me was standing there, soaked, broken, and begging me for help. But he didn't know one thing. I was no longer the woman he left behind. And what I was about to say to him would change his life forever.
He left me when I needed him the most. I was pregnant, scared, and completely alone while my husband walked away with another woman. He told me I was no longer the life he wanted. I begged him to stay. He didn't even look back. But 5 years later, on a cold, rainy night, someone knocked on my door. When I opened it, it was him. The same man who abandoned me was standing there, soaked, broken, and begging me for help. But he didn't know one thing. I was no longer the woman he left behind. And what I was about to say to him would change his life forever. 5 years earlier, my life had been completely different. My name is Emily. At 29, I thought I had everything I had ever dreamed about. A loving husband, a beautiful home, a stable life, and a baby growing inside me. My husband, Daniel, had been my best friend before he became my husband. At least, that's what I believed. We met in college. He was charming, ambitious, and always knew exactly what to say. When I was nervous, he made me laugh. When I was struggling, he held my hand. And when he proposed, he promised me that no matter what happened, we would face it together. I believed every word. For years, we were happy. Or at least I thought we were. Then I became pregnant. I remember the day I told him. I was holding the pregnancy test in my trembling hands. Daniel came through the front door after work. I smiled and said, "Daniel, we're going to have a baby." For a moment, he just stared at me. I expected him to hug me. Instead, his face became strangely quiet. Then he forced a smile. "That's great." I didn't notice the hesitation. I was too happy. I thought he was simply shocked. I spent the next few months preparing for our baby. I painted the nursery. I bought tiny clothes. I started making lists of baby names. But slowly, Daniel began changing. He stayed late at work. He stopped talking to me. He started protecting his phone. Whenever I walked into the room, he would turn the screen off. I asked him several times if something was wrong. Every time, he said the same thing. "I'm just stressed." I believed him. Until one night, I saw a message. Daniel had fallen asleep on the couch. His phone was on the table. A notification appeared. The message said, "I miss you. When are you finally going to leave her?" My heart stopped. I picked up the phone. There were hundreds of messages, photos, plans, promises, a secret relationship. Her name was Vanessa, and Daniel wasn't just talking to her. He had been seeing her for months. I confronted him that night. My hands were shaking. "Who is Vanessa?" Daniel didn't answer. I asked again, "Who is she?" Finally, he looked at me, and instead of apologizing, he became angry. "You shouldn't have gone through my phone. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're cheating on me, and you're angry because I found out?" He stood there silently. Then he said the words that broke something inside me. "I don't love you anymore." I felt like the floor disappeared beneath my feet. I touched my stomach. "Our baby," Daniel looked away. "I never wanted this life." I started crying. I begged him, not because I wanted to save the marriage anymore. I begged because I couldn't understand how the man I loved could suddenly become a stranger. "Please don't do this to us." He packed a suitcase. He walked toward the door. I followed him. "Where are you going?" He stopped. Then he looked back at me. "I'm going to start over." "With her?" He didn't answer. That silence was enough. He opened the door and walked away. He left me pregnant, alone, and completely broken. The next morning, I woke up expecting everything to have been a nightmare. It wasn't. His side of the closet was empty. His shoes were gone. His wedding ring was gone. But the worst part wasn't that Daniel had left. It was realizing that he had planned it. While I was buying baby clothes, He had been planning a new life. While I was choosing names for our child, he had been choosing another woman. While I was loving him, he had already stopped loving me. I cried for days. But eventually, I realized something. I had a baby to protect, so I stopped crying. I found a small apartment. I took a second job. I learned how to fix things around the house. I learned how to sleep alone. And most importantly, I learned how to live without Daniel. 3 months later, my daughter was born. Her name was Lily. The moment I held her, everything changed. She was tiny, fragile, perfect. I looked into her eyes and made a promise. You will never feel unwanted. Your mother will always be here. I didn't know it then, but Lily was the reason I survived. Daniel didn't come to the hospital. He didn't call. He didn't ask about the baby. For almost a year, I heard nothing from him. Then one afternoon, I received a message. It was from Daniel. I want to see my daughter. I stared at the screen for several minutes. Part of me wanted to say yes. Another part of me remembered the night he walked away. Eventually, I agreed. He came to my apartment. When he saw Lily, he smiled. But I noticed something. He didn't look at her like a father. He looked at her like something he had lost. He picked her up. Lily stared at him. Then she reached toward me. She wanted her mother. Daniel looked hurt. I said nothing. He stayed for 20 minutes. Then he left. After that, he visited occasionally, but never consistently. He would disappear for weeks, sometimes months, then suddenly return with gifts, expensive toys, designer clothes, things Lily didn't need. I realized he was trying to buy his way into her life. But children don't need expensive gifts. They need someone who shows up. I was the one who showed up. Every fever, every nightmare, every birthday, every first day of school, every difficult night, I was there. Daniel wasn't. Meanwhile, my life slowly changed. I went back to school. I started working in marketing. I worked harder than I ever had before. At first, I did it because I needed money. Then I realized I was good at it, very good. Within 3 years, I had started my own small consulting company. It was difficult. There were nights when I wanted to give up. But every time I looked at Lily sleeping peacefully, I kept going. Eventually, my company grew. I hired employees. We moved into a better house. Lily had her own room. And for the first time in years, I was happy. Not pretending happy, actually happy. I stopped thinking about Daniel. I stopped wondering where he was. I stopped caring about Vanessa. They became part of my past. Then one day, everything changed. It was a Friday afternoon. I was leaving my office when my assistant walked toward me. Emily, there's a man here asking for you. Who? She hesitated. Daniel, my heart didn't race. I was surprised by that. 5 years earlier, hearing his name would have destroyed me. Now, it meant almost nothing. Tell him I'm busy. My assistant nodded. But before she could walk away, Daniel appeared. He looked different, older, tired. The confidence I remembered was gone. He looked at me and smiled. Emily, I looked at him. Daniel. He took a deep breath. I've been trying to reach you. No, you haven't. He looked uncomfortable. I wanted to talk. I don't have anything to say. He stepped closer. Can we have coffee? I shook my head. No, he stared at me. You've changed, I smiled. Yes, he didn't know how true that was. The woman he had abandoned no longer existed. That night, Daniel sent me a message. He said he was sorry. He said he had made the biggest mistake of his life. He said Vanessa wasn't the person he thought she was. He said he finally understood what he had lost. I read the message. Then I deleted it. I didn't respond. The next day, he sent another. Then another. He kept trying, but I ignored him. Until one night, 5 years after he left, someone knocked on my door. It was raining heavily. I was sitting in the living room with Lily. The knocking came again. I walked toward the door. I opened it. And there he was, Daniel, soaked from the rain. His hair was dripping. His face looked exhausted. He stared at me. Emily, I didn't say anything. He swallowed hard. I need your help. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. The man who had once told me he didn't need me was standing at my door asking for help. What happened? He looked down. I lost everything. I remained silent. My business failed. He continued. I owe money. A lot of money. I looked at him. And Vanessa? His face changed. She left. Of course she did. I stepped aside. Come in. He walked inside. Lily was standing near the stairs. She looked at him. Mom, who is that? Daniel stared at her, his eyes filled with tears. I'm your dad. Lily looked at me, then back at him. I know. Daniel froze. Lily had no excitement, no hug, no tears, just indifference. And somehow, that hurt him more than anything I could have said. Daniel sat at the kitchen table. I made him coffee. He held the cup with both hands. I know I don't deserve your help. I said nothing. I ruined everything. Still nothing. I thought I was choosing a better life. You chose Vanessa. He lowered his eyes. Yes, and you chose to leave your pregnant wife. I know. You didn't even say goodbye. I know. You didn't come when Lily was born. His eyes filled with tears. I know. You missed her first birthday. I know. Her first steps. I know. Her first day of school. He couldn't answer. I looked at him. Do you know what you didn't miss? He looked up. Nothing. The room became silent. Daniel wiped his face. I just need a loan. There it was, the real reason. He didn't come because he missed me. He came because he needed money. I stood up. How much? He told me the amount. It was a huge number. I could afford it, but I had no intention of giving it to him. Not yet. The next morning, I made one phone call. Not to Daniel, to a lawyer. I wanted to know exactly what had happened to his business. Within days, I discovered something Daniel hadn't told me. His financial problems weren't simply bad luck. He had made terrible decisions. He had borrowed money. He had lied to investors. He had signed contracts he couldn't fulfill. And now people were coming after him. But there was something else. Vanessa had left him months earlier, and Daniel had been trying to hide the truth. Then I discovered one more thing. He had been telling people that I was still in love with him, that I would eventually take him back, that I was the woman who couldn't move on. I smiled when I heard that, because he had no idea who I had become. I invited Daniel back to my office. He walked in expecting good news. I placed a folder on the table. What is this? Your financial records. His face went pale. Where did you get these? I have people who can find answers. He opened the folder. His hands began shaking. You investigated me? I needed to know what I was being asked to save. He closed the folder. Emily, please, I leaned back. Do you remember what you told me 5 years ago? He didn't answer. You said you wanted a new life. He looked down. You got it. Then I pushed another document toward him. It was a business proposal. He stared at it. What is this? I'm willing to help. His eyes widened. You are? Yes. For the first time, hope appeared on his face. But I wasn't finished. You will not receive a free loan. He nodded quickly. Anything. You will work. Work? Yes. You'll join one of my partner companies under supervision. He looked shocked. You want me to work for you? No, I smiled. I want you to work for yourself, I continued. You will repay every dollar. You'll have a chance to rebuild your career. But there is one condition. He waited. You will never use Lily to manipulate me. He nodded. I won't. And you will never tell her that I kept you away. He looked ashamed. I won't. And if you want to be her father, I paused. Earn it, Daniel accepted. For the first time, he had no shortcut, no Vanessa, no money, no comfortable life. He had to work. He started at the bottom. He arrived early. He stayed late. He slowly rebuilt his reputation. And surprisingly, he changed. Not overnight, not magically. But little by little, he started showing up for Lily. He attended her school events. He helped with homework. He stopped buying expensive gifts. Instead, he spent time with her. One evening, I saw them sitting together at the kitchen table. Lily was doing a science project. Daniel was helping her. She laughed. I stood in the doorway. For a moment, I felt something strange. Not jealousy, Not anger, peace. Because Lily deserved a father who showed up. And maybe Daniel was finally becoming one. Months passed. Daniel's life improved. His debt began shrinking. His career slowly recovered. But something else happened. He started asking me questions. "Why didn't you hate me?" I smiled. "I did." He looked surprised. "For a long time. Then why did you help me?" I looked at him. "Because I didn't want revenge anymore." He stayed silent. "You know what revenge is?" He shook his head. "Living a life they can no longer control." He looked at me. "You really don't want me back?" I smiled. "No." He looked down. "I thought maybe you thought wrong." He nodded. And for the first time, he accepted it. A year later, my company received a major contract. It changed everything. We expanded into 3 new cities. I bought a beautiful house. Lily started piano lessons. We traveled. We laughed. We built memories. Daniel eventually became financially stable again. He didn't become rich, but he became responsible. And more importantly, he became present. One night, he came to my house to pick up Lily. Before leaving, he stopped at the door. "Emily? Yes? I owe you an apology." "You already apologized." "No." He shook his head. "I apologized for leaving." He took a breath. "But that's not what I'm sorry for." I waited. "I'm sorry I made you believe you weren't enough." Those words hit differently. He continued. "You were always enough. I was the one who wasn't." I looked at him. For years, I had waited to hear those words. But when they finally came, I didn't need them anymore. "Thank you," I said. He nodded. Then he walked away. Years later, Lily graduated from high school. Both Daniel and I stood in the audience. When her name was called, she walked across the stage. She looked confident, strong, happy. Exactly the way I had always wanted her to be. After the ceremony, she hugged me. "Mom, you did everything." I smiled. "No, sweetheart." I looked at Daniel standing a few feet away. "We did." Daniel smiled. For the first time, there was no bitterness between us, only acceptance. Our marriage had ended, but our story had changed into something else, something healthier, something honest. That night, after everyone left, I stood outside beneath the stars. 5 years earlier, I had thought Daniel leaving was the worst thing that could ever happen to me. Now I knew better. Sometimes the person who breaks your heart is accidentally pushing you toward the life you were meant to live. Daniel thought leaving me would destroy me. He thought Vanessa was his future. He thought I would always be waiting for him. He was wrong about everything, because while he was busy looking for a better life, I built one, brick by brick, tear by tear, day by day. And when he finally came back, he didn't find the woman he abandoned. He found a woman who no longer needed him. That was my revenge. Not destroying him, not humiliating him, not taking everything from him. My revenge was becoming so strong, so successful, and so happy that his absence no longer mattered. And if you're listening to this story because someone walked away from you, remember this. Don't spend your life trying to make someone regret losing you. Build a life that makes their regret irrelevant. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't watching them suffer. It's looking at the life you built without them and realizing you never needed them in the first place. And when they finally come back, you get to decide whether they deserve a place in your life. Not because you need them, but because you've already learned how to live without them. And that is when you truly win.